Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jatavadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Bitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Shrestam Manamapi Sachiputra Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagraja Madhupurim Maturim Gaustavatim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto Jasya Pratita Kripaya Sri Gurun Tanmatosmi Adadanastirandantaridam Jatye Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padamboja Dulisham Janma Janmani Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hemavadivyachta Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. Today is the Tirobhav of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu and also Gauridas Pandit. And this line of Krishna consciousness has become synonymous with the Rupanuga Sampradaya, the followers of Sri Rupa. So Guru Maharaj will say, someone asked, Sri Rupa, why not, Radha, Lalita? If we say, oh, Radharani first, so why not Lalita? Why Sri Rupa? It seems that on the one hand, you're becoming somewhat removed. And we can say that in the prayers of Kavi Karnapur, he uses this line, Svarupanuga, to say, giving reference to the Chaitanya Lila, that Lalita Saki and Chaitanya Lila is Swarup Damodar. And so we're also the followers of Sri Rupa, those in the Rupanuga line, they're also Swarupanugas, followers of Rupa, and we will, Swarup. And we'll see how they express this reverence and appreciation and submission to one another. Rupa's accepting Sanatan as superior, but Sanatan saying, I'm also a Rupanuga. Raghunath Das Goswami, we say, is the Prayojan Tattva Acharya. He says he is a follower of Sri Rupa. Kaviraj Goswami concludes every chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam with Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Jara Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. And I remember in first reading that, I thought, oh, interesting. Here he's saying Rupa Raghunath. Right? Interesting. And Saraswati Thakur, before leaving the world, is giving his final instructions to his followers, and to one he says that you are tasked with carrying on the line of Rupa and Raghunath and broadcasting their teachings. And so Kaviraj Goswami, he's always at the end of every chapter saying, Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Jara Ash Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. And really, we're told that Chaitanya Charitamritam is those first 14 slokas. They are the, Guru Maharaj will sometimes call it, the steel frame, the superstructure upon which, Hare Krishna Dandavat, Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam is constructed. And what do we hear with that, Sri Gauranamatams Rupa Viditam, or as Rupa Goswami would have it, Swarupam Bidbran Jagatatulyo, Swarupa Bidbran Jagatatulya Dvaita Dvaita, how he is identifying the position of Swarup Damodar as being unparalleled. And so the Chaitanya Charitamritam, Kaviraj Goswami is referencing the notebooks of Swarup Damodar, which we're told they're very sutra-like, succinct, and those of Raghunath Das Goswami said by comparison are like the cotton being fluffed out. But after an introductory sloka or two, the first verse that Kaviraj Goswami quotes is from Srila Rupa Goswami. Anarpita chirim chirat kornavatirna kalo samarpayatam udholjala swabhakti sriyam hari purata sundar juti kadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spuratu vasachinandana. So it's Rupa Goswami, he quotes the first establish that the unique gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which elsewhere he described, Namo Mahavaranaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tushe Namaha. That he's come to give Krishna Prem, but in a generic or general sense, or something very specific and so unique that it has never been given before. So it says, Unatojvala Rasam, Unata Ujvala Rasam. So he's giving this connection to the highest type of rasa, right, which we hear at the conclusion of the Madhya Lila, that is more or less impossible to achieve. Krishna Lilamrita Sar Tar Shata Shata Dar Dastike Jaha Vahoite Se Chaitanya Lila Hoy Sarovarakshoy Manasa Hangsa Charaha Tahate. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami saying, what is Krishna Lila? Lila Amrita Sar. It would be enough, you would think, to say Lila Amrita. But he says Lila Amrita Sar. It's the creme de la creme of nectarine substances. And being such, it's virtually inaccessible. You can't get access to that. Once Gurus put it in almost like a light way, but very succinctly said, you're being welcomed to the land of no admission. Like the place where you could never enter. Welcome to the land of no admission. Somehow you're being given connection with that. That is Chaitanya Lila. Right? Extending what is beyond the extending what is beyond their qualifications, or for those who are totally unqualified, giving them access to that. So Srila Rupa Goswami went in that very verse when later when Mahaprabhu is not introducing, but say certifying Srila Rupa Goswami as his successor, so to speak, as the full transfer of the wealth from the heart of Sri Chaitanya Dev to the heart, Sancharja, Shakti Sancharja, infused in the heart of Sri Rupa. And Srila Guru Maharaj will say that really the Guru empties their heart into the heart of the disciple to momentarily give us the impression as though, they become wholly emptied. But he's saying, in other words, the transfer is to that level. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wants all the other great devotees to understand what is the position of Rupa Goswami. He's also referencing his works. If we recall previously, in the past times, Rupa and Sanatan, they were disguised. It's almost inconceivable to think they were disguised as ministers in the then-day government. Yet they were. But even their superiors knew that they were special and had deep spiritual insights. So we told when the one governor heard about Mahaprabhu approaching and that 100,000 people were following him, and he says, not being paid, they weren't on payroll. And he's asking his advisor, who happens to be Rupa Goswami, Dabir Khas at the time, he's saying, who do you think this is? You know, saying this is really peculiar. Some ecstatic Vaishnav who's got 100,000 followers, and he's moving in the land, singing, dancing, and tears are shooting out of his eyes like from a syringe, Ganga-like streams of current, transforming all of those upon whom they land. Who do you think this is? And Rupa Goswami says to him, very interestingly, he said, you wouldn't have your position if you were not yourself extremely qualified. And it's not an accident, the position that you're in. So considering that you're a qualified person and sincere and earnest and a seeker of truth, I ask you ask your heart, go deep into your heart's core. Sada hridaye spurat kandare spuratu va sachinandana. Go deep into your heart's core and ask yourself who it is. Which he does, and he says, I think whom in our scriptures is described as let's say, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to keep this happy. He said, I think it's that person who's now descended and is not only walking among us, but chanting and dancing and singing among us. So his spiritual qualifications are such, they cannot really be concealed. And in one sense, we can think he and Sanatan Goswami Prabhu are, and with restless anticipation to join in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. I mean, if we projected ourselves into a similar situation, if we knew that this was happening somewhere near us or in the proximity or a similar time, how could you not want to give up everything and go? What to speak of, it's Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. So that's exactly what they want to do. And we're told in the dead of night, they go to see Mahaprabhu and Ramkeli and literally, taking a straw between their teeth, giving dandavats on the ground, and from a distance, and decrying their fallen position. And what are we told? It's breaking the heart of Mahaprabhu. He knows who they are, of course. But in Krishna Lila, you can say, those divine servitors, Sri Rupa Manjari, they've descended in Chaitanya Lila, and now from such a position of abject humility, they're making their approach to him. It's just breaking the heart of Mahaprabhu, who runs and grabs them and is embracing them and saying, please don't, push this type of humility in my presence. And you are my old servants, my eternal servants. You appear with me life after life in all my pastimes. And then you think, if you're following, you're saying, oh, so at last they're reunited, and now everything's going to be fine and happy. And Mahaprabhu says, but not now. And he's saying, what? He's saying, now is not the time. Testing their humility. He's saying, what I need you to do now is go back to the situation that you're in and remain there for some time. And a little bit later, you will come to me. So there's a parallel, we think, when when you're reading in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and remember, if 18,000 verses, this is the 10th canto, you've gone 1 through 9, the prerequisites, everything. You go through the appearance of Krishna, his childhood pastimes. You finally make it to the Panchadhyay, these 5 chapters that are describing the Rasa Leela. It's supposed to be the crown jewel of all that. And what happens? They come, hearing the flute song of Krishna in the dead of night, they go and meet Krishna. And what does Krishna do? Apparently, on some level, it appears he's rejecting them. He's saying, this is inappropriate. It's against Veda. Shruti bir vermigyam. Why are they so glorious? You're going against the Vedic principles, general accepted principles of society. Krishna mentioning all these things and saying, this is inappropriate, you should return. Some delay. But we're told, with their heads bowed down, tears in their eyes, the mascara and their lotus eyes and faces running, that they don't leave. That advice they don't follow. But in their hearts, they're thinking, we hear that Krishna, we read Sri Rupa wrote that Sri Krishna Karshini Chasa, that Krishna is controlled by prem, by love and affection. And now it appears before us, we have no control over Krishna, and we're being rejected. So that means we have no love for Krishna. No prema gandhasti darapi mehoro. So on what basis did we cross over the statements of the Vedas, what's commonly accepted as moral, reject our husbands, children, family, everything, and come to him? Because now it's obvious in his presence that we don't really have love for Krishna. This is the revelation of the hearts of actual pure devotees. I like to call it the uncertainty principle. They have to live with this uncertainty. They will never think that they really have love for Krishna. And we think, oh no, that's for the beginners. Right? No, that and the beginners think they have something. They think they got Krishna consciousness they can even tell you the date that they got Krishna consciousness. The beginners, the advanced devotees say they don't have, and it's a mysterious thing. One is, we can say by analysis, well, they know it can be withdrawn at any time, so they don't want to give any indication of the good fortune that they actually possess. There are different ways to look at this. But if we're told, Mahaprabhu, what is, the Bhav Murti, his heart is a mirror reflection of the heart of Srimati Radharani. And it is no less than Mahaprabhu himself who says things like, Na prema gandhasti darapi mehoro. I don't have a scent of the fragrance of Krishna prem. What to speak of a drop of that divine substance? It would be misleading, and damaging to our spiritual development. And saying, oh, they're just saying that for newcomers or for the lower section. No, this is the vented heart of the higher level. And what will Guru Maharaj say in interpretation? It means that's how high it is. How noble, how high, how wonderful, how extraordinary. When Srila Saraswati Thakur was giving second initiation to one of his disciples, and Guru Maharaj was there, and after the person left the room with another devotee outside, they started having a discussion about a particular interpretation of a meaning of one of the Gayatris. And Guru Maharaj, Saraswati Thakur could hear what they're saying. They're talking about pushpabana, flower arrows to the holy body of Krishna. We can understand this is a different quality of disciple. And so they're eagerly discussing this. Like, what can this possibly mean? And Guru Maharaj said, Saraswati Thakur had this pained look on his face of abject, dejection, lamentation, pathos. And he said, I've been trying for so long to offer a flower to the holy body of Krishna, and as yet I am unsuccessful. He said, as if to say, lifetimes. So he is venting his lack of success in this endeavor. And we could say, well, that's really discouraging. You mean the top person, he's the guru of all of you. He's saying, as yet he is unsuccessful. And Guru Maharaj turns it in the other direction and says, no, Krishna conception is so high, so wonderful, so extraordinary. If after lifetimes and lifetimes of not achieving it, you can't give up the search. It's that compelling, his other words, heart swallowing, capturing, that even in the presence of a lack of achievement, you can't leave it. You can't give it up. And this is consistent in the prayers of Madhavendra Puri, where he's saying that famous verse, what is it? Mugdam mam nipana vaidika. It ends in Govinda padaspriham. He's saying, let everyone else say that, I've joined a cult, or he's under the influence of evil people. It's all imaginary. It's mythology. It's against society. He goes through a whole list of all the possible things that people say to discourage others from the pursuit of Krishna consciousness. And at the end of the list, he says, add one more to that. And what is that? That I haven't got it. It'd be one thing to say all these other things and you've got it. You say, no, add to the list, I haven't achieved this yet. And he said, but you can further add that I can't leave it. I can't leave the search, the attempt, like that. So, Rupa and Sanatan, Mahaprabhu sending them and telling them to wait. What is Guru Maharaj and the sloka given there, Paravyasini, it says, like a paramour, because they need some way to adjust this themselves. And said, like a paramour, and it's more than apt. And he says, when a wife has a paramour, she's more attentive to her, what do you say, wifely, household duties. There you go. That's a better word than wifely. I don't think wifely is a word. Yes, her household duties. And so you think, go back and don't, be like, what's wrong with so-and-so? He hasn't been the same since he came back from Ramkeli. No, being even more attentive, so not to arouse suspicion. Saying, while all the time being fully absorbed in the heart on the paramour. And so that's the position they adopt. But of course, in time, they come to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, and we're told on the, where is it? The Dash Ashwamedha. What city is that in? Where is it? Varanasi. Yeah. And before the deity of Bindu Madhava, when and Guru Maharaj's prayers of Rupa Goswami said, for Sri Rupa, as if he got his treasure back. There before Bindu Madhava, that's when the Rupa Shiksha takes place, where Mahaprabhu is instructing Rupa Goswami. And we're told by a particular type of analysis. As we know, Advaita Acharya son, Achyutananda, may not be happy to hear that Mahaprabhu has different gurus. But, Ishvara Puri, you can say, Nam Guru, Bharati, Kesava Bharati, the Sannyas Guru. And Guru Maharaj will say, and Ramananda, his Ragamarg Diksha Guru, right? The Ramananda Sambhava. So that's where Mahaprabhu is enlightened on Raga Bhakti by Ramananda, who says to Mahaprabhu, you may say that or present it like that. He said, but as far as I'm concerned, I am like an instrument, and you're the player of that instrument, and you're praising the instrument. So when Mahaprabhu is instructing Rupa Goswami, he's saying, this is what I got from Ramananda. What is it? That word sancharja again. Sancharja, Ramabhida, Bhakta Meghe, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Chayamritani. So the Bhakti Siddhanta ocean from of the ocean of Bhakti Siddhanta, from that arose this cloud, Ramananda, and raining again upon that ocean. So Mahaprabhu saying, this I got from Ramananda, and it's unlimited, it's infinite, and it would be impossible to describe it all. So Ek Bindu, I will take one drop from the Bhakti Rasa Sindhu and explain that to you. And what later is the name of the book of Rupa Goswami, the book of devotion, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He's saying, and that's, I will instruct in this way. And it's there that, in essence, he says, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. In this world of misconception, the length and breadth, having traversed the length and breadth of the world of misconception, fortunate souls, the Bhagavan Jeev, what Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai, Bhakti Lata Bij, they get the seed, the Bhakti Lata Bij, right? Krishna sends his guru, his agent, to that fortunate soul, and stane stita shrutikadam tanuvan manobir, hearing from them, the seed of Krishna conception enters their hearts. And then Srila Rupa Goswami will describe Adoshrad and his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the book on devotion. We saw Prabhupada's, remember he makes Nectar of Devotion, but the unpublished manuscript, I used to have that, the original title was The Science of Devotion. And later he changed, but that was it, Science of Devotion. And there, step by step, everything is described. Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Tato Narta, Nivritisha, Tato Nishta, Ruchi, Tata, etc. Tata Shakti, Tato Bhava, Tata Prema, Vyundanchati. He's saying, this faith you get really in connection with the Vaishnava. Elsewhere, Guru Maharaj says, faith is the halo of Radharani. And in his Brahma Vimohan Leela descriptions, he's saying, it is through his Shakti that he is revealed. He's saying, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. And under the guidance of the Vaishnava, you begin your bhajan. Right? And interestingly, when Guru Maharaj is parsing the song Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, because it mentions bhajan, pujan, he said, bhajan is more internal, pujan is more formal. Bhajana Kriya, then anartha nivritti, nishta, ruchi, etc. And Guru Maharaj will remind us, where it says anartha nivritti, that all the anarthas vanish, and anartha means, improper behavior and addictions, but also artha means meaning. Anartha means misconception. Misconception is gradually being converted into pure conception. And when it goes on to nishta, deep-rooted faith, ruchi, taste, ashakti, etc., Guru Maharaj reminds us, back to what we said in the beginning, the genuine devotees will never think that they've achieved anartha nivritti. They will always find themselves in want. Right? But anyway, so, and then to, Ashak Bhav, the Bhav Ankur. We're told the how do you say, the seed uh, of Krishna Prem, and not here the seed, but the sprout, right? Just before Krishna Prem, the sprout, Bhav Ankur, means that. And Guru Maharaj says, at this point, what was a seed and turned into a creeper, then it's flowering. And the flower of that devotion, and from the heart of that devotee, the devotional flower of their heart has a particular aroma that Krishna finds attractive. We can understand. If Rupa says, Sri Krishna Karshini Chasa, real devotion is capable of attracting Krishna, it may say, this is that point. It's on the up to this point, a little on the other side, the developing practice. Here we're saying, it's caught, like when we see how that happens, you hear, what is that? That's really wonderful. At this point, Krishna has become specifically attracted to the aroma of the devotional fragrance in the heart of that devotee. And then when that intensifies to prem, and then after that, everything about Guru Maharaj, again, Rupa Goswami, gradations of Krishna Prem, Sneho, Man, Pranay, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav. And now we come back to the original thing. Why Sri Rupa? Why Rupa and not others? Guru Maharaj says, because of the highest possibility of gain. That's what he said. There's no place where you can get anything greater. The highest possibility of gain. And I remember once following Guru Maharaj's line of thought, and I was sitting before him and sort of thinking out loud, but together, and I was thinking all these things we're hearing and so many things are described. And I thought, what is so many discussions about Jiva, Tattva, and this, and all these different things. And I thought, how high, what is the highest attainment possible for a Jiva soul? And I said, third position. And before I finished those words, Guru Maharaj went, fifth. And I went, oh, because there were two I wasn't counting, meaning Radha and Krishna, 1 and 2. Then Lalita Vishaka, Rupa, Rati, then the fifth position. So Guru Maharaj said, the highest possibility of gain. And generally, we don't discuss these things. They're too high. But Guru Maharaj said, a sketch can be there, like outline. Right? So without trying to go into the details. So when he's, and I think we'll come to that in a moment. But why, and he's saying, in this sense, Sri Rupa's position may be considered supreme. Right? So as a side note, like how wonderful is Krishna consciousness? Who's really supreme in Krishna consciousness? Is it Krishna? Or is it Radharani? Or is it Radharani's assistants or her friends assistants? It's a mutual appreciation organization. And that's in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That is the nature of pure devotees to always appreciate the devotion of others. And like I say, to the extreme, Krishna appreciating devotion the most. He's the object of all of this devotion. And that's so powerful that he's appreciating this and saying, am I the only one who doesn't get to experience this? So Rupa Goswami, aparam kasyapi prani janamandasya kutuki rasotstamam hritva madhuram upabhoktam kamaviya. Always, and Kaviraj Goswami, that's what he uses. Whenever he wants to, he's saying radical, revolutionary concepts in Chaitanya Charitamritam and needs to tell you something that as soon as you hear this, you go, oh, all right, it's from Sri Rupa, then we can accept everything you're saying. So Sri Rupa, Chaitanyastakam, and elsewhere. And just like Guru Maharaj in his Bhakti Vinod Viraha Dasakam, this ability to properly identify, weigh, assess, qualify the hierarchy of servitors. Because when I would meet with Guru Maharaj in the beginning and he would see I was kind of randomly asserting different aspects of Krishna consciousness. And when I would mention something, what about this? And he goes, no, that is generic bhakti. And then he goes, haven't you gone through Brihad Bhagavatamritam? And that's when he, I think, I could say, empowered me to study it. And what it's about? Gradation. Rupa Goswami, Upadeshamritam, gradation. Ramananda Sambad, gradation. Brihad Bhagavatamritam, gradation. So the hierarchy of servitors and how Guru Maharaj can conclude that the highest possible gain comes from being in the Rupa Nuga line. So that Rupa is the most qualified, supremely qualified to glorify Srimati Radharani and Lalita Saki in the best way, the most accurate way. And we're told, and so Radhastakam, Lalita Astakam. And the first verse will always be the first, it has some special significance. From that, everything else will open. And so it's not random, the collection. The first verse must always be extremely important, establishing and revelatory. Right? And in the case of Srimati Radharani, it says, Hari Pada Naka Koti Prishta Parjanta Simha Tatamapi Kalyantim Pranera Brishta Doham Pramoditam Madarakshi Rinda Vaidogdidika Gurumapi Guru Kirting Radikam Archayami. They're saying, what of all the things you could say about Srimati Radharani, what does Rupa Goswami tell you first? And you think, oh, so many things can be the greatest of anything. But he's giving some insight to what her interior is. This Haripada Naka Koti Prishta Parjanta Simha. That Haripada means dedication to the lotus feet of Krishna. Hers is unparalleled. Anaya Radhita Nunam Bhagavan Hirishwara. No one serves Krishna more than she. Right? Krishna Moyi. Her within, without her, everything is Krishna. Wherever she casts her glance, produces Krishna. But when we think, always moving toward the least to reveal the maximum, right? Through inversion, we can understand. So we say, the lotus feet of Krishna. Oh, that's that's how you make your approach. Oh, is that the lotus feet? And then higher. But if we say, but of the lotus feet, if you're focused on the lotus feet, which would be the least aspect of the lotus feet? That would be the nail. Haripadanaka means the nails of the lotus feet of Krishna. So it's saying, she's identifying, what's the least aspect of Krishna, the lotus feet of Krishna? Haripadanaka, Koti Prishta Parjanta Simha. It's saying, she considers that to be infinitely of more value and higher than her own highest aspect of self, magnified millions of times. Right? I think that who sees like that? She sees like that. Rupa Goswami is telling us this is how she sees. Always the least. Na prema gandasti darapi meharo. Not the ostentatious display of achievement, but totally in the opposite direction. Right? The least aspect of Krishna she considers to be greater than her own highest aspect of self, multiplied millions and millions of times. And basically he's saying, and if you find this sort of vision intoxicatingly wonderful, then you can be initiated into that line. When he's praising Lalita Saki, similarly, when Radha Mukunda Parasambhava Garva Bindu Nirmanchano Pukurini Kritadeha Laksham Utunga Sohrita Vishesham Prashat Pagalbam Devim Gunai Sulalitam Lalitam Namami. How beautiful also is the poetry of Rupa Goswami. And what is the position of Lalita Saki? Where is her? So we just heard Radharani's position. What is Lalita Saki's position? Focused on service. There's Radha and Krishna. She's focused on service. That the least aspect of service, not even the least remote disturbance can enter that plane to disturb their divine pastimes. And how much is she on guard and prepared to offer herself to that service? Deholaksham, she'll take on hundreds, thousands, 100,000 forms to do dedicated to the least aspect of seva. So Guru Maharaj is saying, so what do we see here? The greatest amount of eagerness for the least aspect of seva. Not very eager to do some, what did Gurudev used to call it? Luxury seva. He would use that term, luxury seva, and the modern world, they call it the photo opportunity to be seen doing some particular thing. Not at all. To be in the background. Always in the background. Srila Gurudev moving in the background at Chaitanya Saraswati Math. Guru Maharaj moving in the background of the pastimes of Saraswati Thakur. Rupa Goswami moving in the background of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? Not drawing no attention. Right? So, and not self-promoting, pratishta. When Rupa, Sanatan, they stay with Haridas Thakur in Puri, right, at the Siddhabokul. Right? And they cannot enter the temple of Jagannath. Are they whining and self-pity that, don't they know who I am? And no, Rupa Goswami writing the inconceivably beautiful verses and just writing, putting on a palm leaf, putting in the thatched hut roof, going to bathe. Mahaprabhu comes to see, oh, Haridas, what's the news? Sees the room, what's that? Oh, Rupa wrote something, hide that. Nobody should see that. Then later, asking Srila Damodar, saying, did you see this Rupa Goswami sloka? And Srila Damodar said, I don't know. What do I know? But Mahaprabhu knows, no, you know everything. You know more than me about certain things. When he's saying, those songs that I sing before Jagannath, that appear for most to be like mundane love songs. Guru Maharaj said something, I think, why is Mahaprabhu singing this? About a mundane love song of a boy and a girl on the banks of a... And then Rupa Goswami taking Yak Kumara Hara and changing to Priya Soyam Krishna and Radha, revealing that boy is Krishna, that girl is Radhika on the banks of the Jamuna under the moonlit night, revealing everything. And Mahaprabhu says this Rupa Damodar, that's only in my heart. No one knows that. The person he's talking to, it's assumed, knows that. So basically, another way of saying this is like, only you and I know this. You know what's in my heart, and sometimes you know what's in my heart better than me. So I'm asking you, you're my secretary and have these unparalleled qualifications. How does Rupa know this? And we can say, this is a Yoga Maya play, or meant to shine a spotlight on the devotion of Sri Rupa. Yes, and what is Swarup Damodar answer? He's saying, it must have come from you. You infused this into the heart of Sri. Otherwise, it's not possible. This isn't something you can learn by study. You learned so many scriptures. You came to the conclusion of logic. This isn't, it's not approachable that way. Nayam atma, pravachanena labdyo name, etc. Tanum atmanam tanum swam. You revealed it to him. And not only that, I think you've given everything to them. You've infused everything that's in your heart, you've infused in the heart of Rupa Goswami. So because he's that qualified person. So later, when Mahaprabhu, when all the devotees gather, we know that once a year at the time of Rath Yatra, Shivananda Sen brings the 200 Bhagavatas from Navadvip and surrounding, and they go to Puri, and there's also Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita, Charja, Ramananda, Swarup, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Everyone is there, Haridas Thakur. And it's significant at this particular time that Mahaprabhu wants to certify Sri Rupa and alludes to those books that you're writing. I saw there's one verse in there that upon hearing which everyone becomes happy. Will you please share that with all the devotees? And it's about the holy name of Krishna. Remember, Haridas Thakur is there, and we talk about those who know scriptures and have studied and have extensive. Think of this group. Right? What is the extent of their Shastric knowledge? They know everything about everything. And he's saying, so please, Rupa, share that verse. And Rupa Goswami is very shy and staying, and they have to kind of push forward. And then, Tunde Tandavini Ritim Vitanute Tundavali Labdiye Karna Kroda Kadambini Katayate Karnar Budhevya. Saying, when the holy name of Krishna is so sweet that when you're relishing the sweetness of the holy name of Krishna, one tongue is insufficient. The heart, from deep heart's core, will aspire to have millions of tongues to relish that sweetness. And the sound is so beautiful that 2 ears, you'll be blaspheming the Creator for only giving you 2. You'll say, why can't I have millions, tens of millions of ears to capture all of that sound? And Haridas Thakur, all these devotees, and when they hear this, they're saying, we've heard and know so many slokas glorifying the holy name of Krishna, but we've never heard anything so sweet and wonderful as that. Then Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda to further anything. Rupa, in all books, in the beginning, it should begin with one's worshipable deity. Please tell us who is your worshipable deity in the beginning of Rupa goes. Like Gomer, he's blushing. Golden volcano. No. He's hesitating. And Mom, don't be shy. Tell anything. Anarpita Charim Chirat. Back to that verse, the beginning of Charitamritam. Va Sachinandana. Sachinandan Gaurahari. You're my. And Mahaprabhu, all right, Ati stuti kore, too much, too much glorification's another. There must be some other verses we can hear than that. And one that was favorite to Srila Gurudev was the we I was going to say the sound effects, but the effects of the sound of the flute of Krishna. Because we can only wonder when we hear how beautiful that is. It's inconceivable, beyond what our present hearing capacity. But how does Rupa Goswami choose to deal with this? By showing the effects of the sound of Krishna's flute. And we think, oh, it's so sweet and wonderful. It's, putting the hearts of the Braja Gopis in a whirl. And those things are undoubtedly true. But he deals with it in another way. Rundan ambu bitas chamatkati param kurvan muhus tumbarum dhyanadantarayan sanandana mukam bhishmapayam vedasam otsukya balir bir balim chatulayam bogendra magunayam bendam andagatah bitam abito bad brahma bangshi dwani. Gurudeva goes, bad brahma bangshi dwani. That's the sound of the flute. In the last part. He said, what does it do? The animate becomes like freeze frame. The inanimate melts. The cloud, like they're struck with lightning in a freeze frame. It's raining. The rain is all frozen at the sound of Krishna's flute. Kurvan muhus tumburum tumburu. He's the ultimate musician in the universe as Abhiram Prabhu comes. So, in other words, he's the greatest musician. That means he knows all the rags, everything, all the different types of music, styles, and he's more like, what is that? I've never heard that. Anything like that. Tumbu, Dhyanarantanayan Sanandana Bhukam. Those 4 Kumaras, which is, as a side point, these great sages, they're Kumars. That means they're little boys. Although they may be millions of yugas old, they appear like young boys, and their meditation is never broken upon Krishna. Right? It's all that. The tulsi mixed with the lotus feet of Krishna, they inhaled that, and they were transformed forever. Their meditation is never broken for a moment. What does it say here? The 4 Kumaras can't concentrate. He's showing by inverse. Like in the Sme Rambangi sloka, he's using the psychology of opposite. Like, if you want to stay attached to it, don't go and see that Tribangala Lalitam form of Govinda Krishna on the banks of the Keshiga. Don't go to see that. With the moon shining down upon his beautiful lotus face. And don't go to see that if you want to remain attached to this world and everything in it. So the 4 Kumaras, they cannot concentrate. Vishmapayam Vedasam. And Brahma, who's created everything, saying, I didn't create this. This is not on my list of things that I've created. I'm aware of everything generated from me. This does not come from me. And he's showing in this that the sound of Krishna's flute has penetrated the 8 layers of coverings of the universe. Right? Etc. There's 8 layers, saying it's penetrating them, and then it's circulating. So it's from the higher position, then it's going now to the lower position, Bali Maharaj. And what's at the very bottom of the universe? Bogendra Magunayam means the hoods of Ananta, upon whom all of the planets are resting. And what happens when Ananta, who you would think would know, hears the sweetness, the beauty of the sound of Krishna's flute, it's so intoxicating, his heads start to stagger, and it looks like they're going to fall off. Bogenramagurnayam Bidbrad Brahma Bangshi Dwani. You're saying, and that's just the sound of Krishna's flute. And seeing Munendra Mohan Prabhu and Krishna Kanta Didi before me, can only remember Gurudev told on that Monte Baro place we were all staying, he's talking about Krishna's flute, and he's saying, how is it that the sound of Krishna's flute is regulating all the servitors and the various services? Right? And he said, like in the factory, when they blow the whistle, they go, ding. And then everyone, when they hear that sound, some go this way, we go upstairs, we go downstairs, we get in all the different things they need to do. They all know when to do that as soon as they hear that sound. He said, it's something like that. But infinitely more sweeter. But he's saying how this one sound can regulate all the different types of seva. So with that, through these slokas, Mahaprabhu revealed what is the position of Srila Rupa Goswami and certified that the full wealth in the heart of Sri Chaitanya Dev was fully transferred to Srila Rupa Goswami and by Sri Rupa in this line. Oh, I need to come back to so why the highest possibility of gain? And we just say this in deference to Srila Guru Maharaj. No, well, I can say it and read it, but that saying, in that if we conceive at the central position of reality is Radha and Krishna, and then next to them is Lalita Vishaka, and then particularly Lalita Saki, hers, Rupa and Rati, means Sri Rupa, the leader of the so-called Manjaris, the junior section. So when I said the Guru Maharaj third, and he said, no, fifth, you understand now, right? It's the fifth position. But why the highest possibility of gain? Again, Srila Guru Maharaj is saying, so when Radha and Krishna, they're having their intimate pastimes, saying the Sakis, who are older girls, they're equal in age to Srimati Radharani, they hesitate to go at that time, to not create any disturbance, or we can say a sense of competition. Said, but the younger section, they can go at that time. And there's no competitive nature, and they can render service at that time. So he's saying, in that sense, the position of Sri Rupa is sometimes considered supreme. And as he said elsewhere, when Srimati Radharani is reciprocating out of gratitude to her servitors, we went back to Sneha, Man, Pranay, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav. We're generally told that Bhav there, that's the highest level of attainment. Right? This Mahabhav is very specifically reserved. So Srila Guru Maharaj said, Srimati Radharani, in gratitude to her servitors, headed by Sri Rupa, brings a plate of Mahabhav and says, here, taste what we're tasting.